I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years. And I have given all the proofs of who was involved with Diddy. I have presented the videotape of Diddy's parties as evidence. No one can save Diddy and the other celebs. Jay-Z, after watching the rest of the documentary, you'll understand everything.
I am the fucking hardest hustler in the world. This is Savage Part 2. Don't tell me about shit. It's 2022 and I'm still a savage. Whatever I want, I get. Whatever I want, I fucking get.
You guys don't need to worry about me getting revenge from Diddy. I've got 3 moves that make sure he'll never be able to come after me or my family. First, I personally reached out to the victims' legal teams. The real reason he's not getting out is those buried cases behind the scenes. I provided legal funding for 7 victims who had been silent for years and brought in the top criminal attorneys in the country. Second, I bought up every potential post-release business deal he had lined up. I planned this 2 years in advance, so by the time he got sentenced and still had hope of getting out, every partner had already cut ties with him. Third, I don't just have evidence, I've got backups. This is an entire minefield that's been buried for 20 years. I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years. With testimonies from the victims, we interviewed over a dozen people he tricked, threatened, or violated. You think that's harsh? No, he destroyed other people's lives for decades. I'm just making sure he spends a few extra years in prison for it. I'm not afraid of his people, not afraid of his threats. I know he's still in there fantasizing about a comeback, but the truth is, he's never coming back.
What if the most dangerous part of this story isn't what people say happened at those parties, but the moment the timeline stopped being rumor-driven and started sounding official? Because once dates, resignations, raids, and federal language enter the picture, the entire industry reacts like it recognizes the pattern, and that's where it gets messy. The louder the headlines grow, the more silence starts to feel less accidental and more like a decision. Things shifted from backstage chatter to a real-world countdown in November 2023 when Cassie filed a lawsuit that was settled quickly after. That settlement didn't prove wrongdoing on its own, but it flipped a switch in public perception. People watched something explosive escalate fast, then get wrapped up fast behind closed doors. And when that happens, the question isn't case closed, it's what did everyone just rush to contain? Before anyone could even process that, the business side started moving. Not long after, Diddy stepped aside from his role as Revolt chairman amid multiple lawsuits. Moves like that don't happen in a vacuum. Companies don't like uncertainty, and they definitely don't like being attached to chaos. So when powerful titles quietly disappear, it doesn't feel like a personal choice. It feels like distance being created on purpose. And here's the part people miss. Sometimes the clearest signal isn't a statement, it's who suddenly needs space. Then the story stopped living only online. In March 2024, federal agents raided properties connected to him in Los Angeles and Miami, and that changes everything. Raids aren't gossip. Raids mean warrants, paperwork, and investigators looking for things they believe matter. Once that happens, everyone who ever crossed paths, shared a stage, or stood close enough for a photo starts doing mental math in private. But the mood shifted even harder when old footage resurfaced. In May 2024, surveillance video from 2016 became public, showing Diddy physically assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway. He later issued an apology. People can debate allegations endlessly, but video alters how the public processes a story. Denial shrinks. Past rumors suddenly feel louder, even if they're still unproven. That doesn't make every claim true, but it explains why pressure spiked almost overnight. And just when it felt like the situation couldn't get heavier, it went fully federal. By September 2024, the language changed completely. Diddy was arrested, and federal prosecutors announced charges that included racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking-related counts, along with transportation tied to prostitution. That's not internet speculation. That's official wording. And once that happens, everything becomes more cautious, more serious, and more legally charged. But the internet doesn't keep its focus narrow. The circle always expands. That's why Jay-Z's name keeps surfacing in conversations, even though much of what's said online is speculation, disputed, or based on loose associations rather than proven facts. Sometimes it's about industry overlap. Sometimes it's old photos, events, or proximity. Sometimes it's just the internet turning silence into a storyline. And to be clear, silence is not proof. But in moments like this, silence becomes a blank screen people project onto. The fewer answers they feel they're getting, the more theories they build themselves. Then 50 Cent stepped in and turned the chaos into something bingeable. He and Diddy have had public tension for years, widely discussed long before any of this escalated. So when a multi-part documentary executive produced by 50 Cent dropped, it didn't land like a neutral release. It landed like someone with a history grabbing a global megaphone and forcing the conversation into living rooms everywhere. And that matters because documentaries don't just inform, they concentrate attention. People who ignored headlines suddenly watch timelines unfold in order without scrolling away. Now we're in the quietest phase and maybe the most revealing one. Because in an industry built on access and relationships, the loudest moments aren't always accusations, they're distance. Who stops being seen? Who suddenly claims neutrality? Who disappears from conversations altogether? None of that proves guilt, and it shouldn't be treated like it does, but it does show how power moves when power is involved. So the real question isn't only what this documentary claims or implies, it's what happens after millions of people watch the same timeline in the same order and the old whispers start sounding like patterns. If confirmed facts are already this heavy, what does that mean for everyone standing nearby, saying nothing, hoping the spotlight never swings their way? And be honest, does this kind of visibility actually change anything long term? Or does it just teach powerful people how to hide better?